It's me, Paco, and you're watching Bad Witch Books. Today we're going to be going over my November wrap-up. I will just be wrapping up the books that I read, because I'm going to be doing a top 10 movies that I saw, and I didn't want to spoil it by talking about the movies in 2 videos in the same month, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I've read 4 books this month. I read 2 graphic novels, or comic bind-ups is a better word for it. And I DNF'd 1 book. So the first book, this is the one I DNF'd. I DNF'd Master of One by Jada Jones and Danny Bennett. This is a YA fantasy book set in like an alternate world. And it's about this guy named Rags who is a thief, and he's like not hired because he's forced to like find this treasure for this like corrupt politician, I think. And things go from there. And I was listening to the audiobook, and I got like 140 pages in, and I could not care less about what was happening, and so I just stopped reading it. I was like, damn it, I don't want to finish this, so I DNF'd it, probably be getting rid of it. It is a pretty book, and it's like a Fairy Loot edition, but I didn't like it, so I'll probably be unhauling this book, because this is the second time I tried to read it. I tried reading it physically a while ago, and I couldn't get into it, and then tried the audio, and I just couldn't get into it, so there's that. Okay, so the time I read this month is Iron Widow. This beautiful cover, and it is by Zion J. Zhao, I believe is how we pronounce her name. And this book is pitched as Pacific Rim meets Handmaid's Tale, set in like ancient China about China's first empress, even though it's not like set in China technically. It's just like a China inspired world, I believe. But and it's got like giant mechs. Really good, also like polished couple, polyamorous couple in this book is in it, and that's a big selling point for me to read it. Really good. I high-key enjoyed this. The action scenes were described really well, because we got like robot fighting scenes. We got like, I really liked our main character and her anger she had, and then I just liked the way that, because our main character is she's very angry of how women are treated in the society, because in the society, female pilots are used to power the male pilots, basically, and their lives are usually lost. This is a beginning of the book, like, so it's not really a spoiler. And she wants to change things. And I really enjoyed it. I heard someone describe it as like 400 pages of female rage, and it was definitely that, and very much well written. I'm excited for the sequel. And again, this cover is beautiful. So yeah, this is a 4-star read. So the next book I read was for my book club, and it was Little Thieves by Margaret Owens. This is about a girl named Vanya, who is the goddaughter of the goddess of death and the goddess of fortune. And she is basically cursed by another goddess of the wild, because she is a thief, and she is cursed that she is like slowly turning into jewels. And she has to try to break the curse. And there's a lot of like political intrigue and stuff too in this, because she is disguised as a princess, because this is a Goose Girl retelling. Really enjoyed this book. The imagery was really pretty, and I love the Goddess of Death also has just like, I hear that, I'm like, keyword yes. Love it. Love the like mythology that was built into this world, and our main character Vanya, I really connected with her on a level. I enjoyed the audiobook. The romance is really good in it. And yeah, I don't know what else I can say without spoiling much, but I recommend it. It was a 4 stars as well. The next book I read was A Lot Like Adios by Alexis Daria. This is the sequel to You Had Me at Hola. So it's the Prima powers, the cousins. This is about Michelle and Gabe. They used to be best friends in high school, but when they were about to hook up, Gabe leaves New York to California and doesn't turn back because of family drama. And so, like, he hasn't spoken to her for 20 years, Michelle for 20 years, but she is accidentally hired by his gym that he owns to, like, do the marketing campaign for it, and he has to fly to New York, and they have to try to work together, and, like, heat and stuff rekindles. This is a really good romance book. I give it, like, 3 stars, because really good. I enjoyed it. I think I did enjoy the first book a little bit more in this. I think it's a trilogy, I hope, because I'm excited for the next one. But I don't know why This book, it is not about this book. Every time I stopped, I forgot that I would stop in the middle of a sex scene. Because this is smutty romance. And so it's just weird. I don't know if any other, like, romance readers who read smutty books can understand that weirdness of, like, picking back up in a sex scene. It's not like I wanted to stop in the middle of the sex scene, but, like, I mainly read this book on my breaks at work, like I read my other books, and just that's when my break ended. And then I'd, like, come back, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in a sex scene. And then also, I read fantasy and comics and stuff like that, and nobody says anything to me at work. The one time I'm reading a smutty book, and I'm in the middle of a sex scene, is when my boss comes up and he's like, what are you reading? You should read out loud to us. Should read a part out loud. My mind went, what's the loading symbol just, like, appeared above my head. I was like, I think I'm good. But of all the books, like, this is good, and it's not even super smutty, but still, like, why? I don't know. But I really enjoyed this. Love, both our characters are bisexual, so, like, it has bisexual rep, and I love it. So, 3 stars. I really enjoyed this series. I just had to have that, like, mini rant about that, because that was embarrassing. I didn't actually read out loud. I just, like, kind of was like, I'm good, and, like, left. Okay, next book I read was really disappointing, and that was A Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix. This is a 2-star read. This was by Julie C. Dow. Now, I enjoyed Julie C. Dow's writing, because I loved her first book in this series, The Forest of a Thousand Lanterns, which is the Evil Queen origin retelling, and this is the sequel, which is a Snow White retelling with, like, East Asian inspiration world. I enjoyed Forest of a Thousand Lanterns so much, and to have the shift of perspective go from our, like, cool, like, corrupt, evil queen who tries to power to basically a normal, like, heroine, just goody two-shoes heroine was really disappointing. And the world was interesting and stuff like that, but I could not, like, care much about our main character. And then I found the ending really disappointing. Like, I get it was a Snow White ending, but it was just really disappointing. So I gave this 2 stars, and I'm really sad about it. I probably will be getting rid of this book, too. Unhauling this, but yeah. This one bummed me out. Because, like, it was good, but just, like, having a really interesting character in the last book, and having her still in this book, but, like, we didn't get her sort of perspective, and we really didn't get a lot of interactions between Snow White and the Evil Queen, and, like, as your hero villain, I just did not care for this. It's, like, I also really do like the Snow White retellings, and this is, like, my least favorite one I've read. So the next 2 books I've read this month were comics, graphic novels, bind-ups. Not graphic novels, they were bind-ups, because they were, like, comic issues that were bound into one book. So the first one I finished was Wonder Woman Volume, I think it's, like, 4. Lord and Lies, one of the most recent ones that just came out. This has Diana, Wonder Woman, dealing with Maxwell Lord, who is a villain in the continuity before the reboot that Diana ended up killing because he was mind-controlling Superman. And now he's back, and because of, like, comics, and shenanigans ensue, and she has to work with him because, like, someone is stealing his tech and using it poorly, and so they have to work together, even though, like, Diana doesn't trust him, and Maxwell Lord's, like, clearly a bad guy. But it's really interesting. The art changes up, because they, like, change artists like they do in some comics. Sometimes I liked it, other times I'm like, oh, it's alright. So I gave this 3 stars. So the last comic I read, and I, like, technically read it today on December 1st, but I'm still counting it for my December wrap-up, was Wonder Woman Future State. This is the first time Yara Flor, the Brazilian Wonder Girl, has been introduced. This is a look at DC's comics future. And we get 4 stories in this comic. We get Nubia, who has to stop Grail and Cersei. We get Yara Flora's introduction, as she has to try to save her friend from the underworld. We get Yara Flor and Jonathan Kent Superman having to team up to stop 2 suns that have shown up. And then we get a Diana story of her being, like, the last thing in the universe at the end of time. And I really enjoyed all 4. I think the Nubia one really stood out. I really enjoyed the Nubia story because I'm hoping it ties into her current comic run she has right now, Nubia in the Amazons, because, like, this stuff hinted at some interesting stuff. And then, of course, I love Yara Flor. I think she's a really interesting character, and we kind of got to see that in these 2 comic stories that she was in. One part I really liked is that she, like, saves a helicopter from crashing down, and, like, the pilot, I guess, freaks out and pulls out a gun on her, and so she has, like, she brings the helicopter down, and she has the pilot write down a marker on on the helicopter as, like, punishment: "I will not shoot Yara Flor." It was cute, it was funny, because it was, I mean, also, I love the Diana story, because, like, I love my girl Diana, and I just really enjoyed this bind-up. I gave this bind-up 4 stars, and I'm excited to see what they do with Wonder Woman now, because, like, this is supposed to be a look in the future. I know Wonder Girl has her own current running series, and so does Nubia, and we have a event coming up in the future, Trials the Amazon, so I'm wondering if any of this that is in this book is going to be used in that event, so I'm really excited. But yes, those are the books I read this month. I think if I had to choose a favorite, it probably would be Iron Widow, maybe followed by the Wonder Woman Future State I read. I think are, like, neck and neck of really good. I will see you guys next time. Tell me what you guys read this month. It was a long month, because, like, I ended up, like, in a mini reading slump at the end of the week. The last week of November, that's why I finished both of these. Like, I finished this one yesterday on the 30th, like at 11 o'clock, and then I finished this today at, like, 12. So yeah, that's my November wrap-up. Let me know what you guys read. Like I said, like if you haven't, subscribe to Little Old Me, please, and I will see you guys next time.